Hey everyone, it's time for a Gundam movie review. Well, less of a review and more of a discussion. For anyone who saw my review of the Messer Gunpla kit, then you know I was very excited for the Mobile Suit Gundam Hathaway movie, based on the Hathaway Flash novel series. Well, it finally came out, and I figured I'd give kind of my thoughts on it. Not really a thorough review, but more of a discussion and, of course, breakdown of the movie. First, I'll give my thoughts without any spoilers. For those of you who are Gundam fans and just want to know if the movie is good or not, I will say that it is very good. There are a few things that I don't like, such as the overuse of CG. It just looks a little off to me, and I know that's kind of laughable considering I love Gundam Thunderbolt. So, yeah. But I don't know why. The CG always looks like it's not quite blended perfectly. The cars remind me of what the cars look like in Initial D, and it just doesn't do it for me. But it doesn't take me out of the movie, nor does it make me hate the movie. There also isn't a lot of mech action. A lot of what you're going to get is view from the ground moments. While the battle is going on, you're going to see people panicking and trying to escape. There are only two major mech battles in this movie because a lot more of it is built around characterization and espionage, which makes it very unique in the Gundam franchise. And that, to me, is more than enough reason to recommend it to anyone who might be on the edge, worried because of more recent Universal Century products narrative. I'm sorry about the coughs there. I was trying to say narrative. That was weird. Anyhow, narrative sucks. So yeah, it's a quality movie. However, there is a little bit of product placement in there for a restaurant called Jollibee. And believe it or not, I actually reviewed the food at Jollibee. You can see it in my foodie channel, Eat the Magic, link in the description. One more thing, before you go watch the movie, if you haven't seen Char's counterattack in a while, or you don't remember what was going on with Hathaway in the course of that movie, it might be worthwhile to watch that because there are events in that movie that obviously play into events in Hathaway, because obviously events in his past would paint the type of person he would become as an adult. However, other than that, I think you'll be fine going into this movie and being prepared. You don't need to really see anything else. After all, the Hathaway Flash novels were a follow-up to the Char counterattack novel, which does have differences from the movie, and of course, Hathaway's Flash will have differences from Hathaway. Unfortunately, I've never had the opportunity to read either of those books because they were never really brought over in English, and finding translations online can be difficult. However, finding synopses online is relatively easy, so I have a general idea of what happened in both the Char book and the Hathaway books. As far as I can tell, this movie follows the first book pretty well. So that's my spoiler-free recommendation for Mobile Suit Gundam Hathaway. Now, if you want to know a little bit more, I'll keep the spoilers light, and I will give a brief breakdown of the movie and my thoughts on it. The movie opens with a group of dignitaries on a transport going from space to Earth. It gets attacked by terrorists. Hathaway Noa ends up getting involved with taking down the terrorists alongside Kenneth Slegg, who we will later learn is one of the major military personnel off to find and destroy the terrorist organization Mafti. In the process, they do take down the terrorists, and the plane lands safely on Earth in Davao, which is in the Philippines. However, due to his involvement, Hathaway is now kind of in house arrest while they try to figure out what was going on and who these terrorists were. In the process, he ends up spending time with Gigi, one of the other people involved in the flight, who seems to have some mysterious things going on in her background, but we only get hints about it. Meanwhile, Hathaway is trying to find a way to get away from the Federation forces because, as it turns out, he is a member of Mafti. This leads into his group picking a fight as a distraction in hopes that Hathaway can get away. Unfortunately, they are defeated by Federation elite pilot Lane Aim in the Penelope, which, for those who don't know, is a fully armored version of the Odysseus Gundam, which I love the fact that it's Penelope and Odysseus because it's husband and wife. And in the process, Gamin is captured, and now things are even worse for Hathaway and his group. This, of course, leads to Hathaway needing to get away from the Earth Federation, rescue his teammate, and get the hell out of the Philippines to continue his plans, whatever they may be. At the end, we do get at least a brief encounter with Hathaway and Lane battling in the Kasi Gundam versus the Penelope, which is the big thing for this movie, seeing the two rivals go head to head in their overpowered Gundams. The movie sets up things for, obviously, the next part of the saga. Overall, is a very enjoyable story featuring espionage, some mech action, and definitely a lot of characterization, which is really the best part of this. As you get to know Hathaway, you get to know Gigi, you get to know Kenneth, and you get at least introductions to Hathaway's team and members of Kenneth's team, so you really know who's going to be battling who in the course of the upcoming movies. The music is okay. It kind of feels out of place. It feels like music that should have been on Naruto or Bleach or some other shonen series rather than a really dark, serious Gundam movie. I don't hate it at all. It just feels out of place. And for anyone who might be familiar with Hathaway's theme from Super Robot Wars or some of the other games where Hathaway appeared, I kind of have a preference for that with how dark and heavy in the guitar versus, some of this more synthy kind of music they had in this movie. As I said earlier, the animation looks great, but the CG stuff kind of takes me out of everything. However, more important than anything else, this movie didn't do the couple of things I was really afraid it was going to do. Namely, I was worried the movie would have a lot of ties into Gundam Unicorn, which is intrinsically terrible, and we would get a lot of the stupid stuff they did in Unicorn, like mobile suit cameos that make zero sense, or plot points that go nowhere, unlikable characters. God, I could do a whole thing on why Unicorn is terrible. But my point is, I didn't want Hathaway to tie into that. I wanted Hathaway to be true to the books and tie directly back to Char's counterattack, and it does that very well. In fact, the closest thing we have to a mobile suit cameo are the Goplants used by the terrorists in the very beginning of the movie, and beyond that, everything else would make sense for the time period. Whether it is the ground-type Jagan being used by the Manhunters, whether it is the newly produced Gustav Karls and Messers battling over the city, and of course the Kasi Gundam and the Penelope being the most advanced mobile suits of the time. There's definitely a lot to like about this movie. I am very much excited about the next movie, and I would highly recommend this to fans of Gundam, and anyone really trying to get into the Gundam franchise but is not really down with mech battle upon mech battle and would really like to be in a story that involves a lot of characterization. Not the best place to start, but definitely a way to whet your appetite for what Gundam really does have to offer. Thank you for listening to me babble on about Mobile Suit Gundam Hathaway. Let me know in the comments what you thought about the movie. In addition to that, please check out our description for links to our Discord and ways to support the channel. Also, please check out my review of the Gunpla kit for the Messer F01 and my review of Jollibee. Links are in the description. Until next time, thank you for watching, and I'll see you at the tavern.